Hi guys, welcome to the first video of the detailed car launch analysis series we at Essentially Sports are going to conduct. Ferrari recently released the SF16-H and it is a revolution in terms of design and philosophy. First of all, the livery. It has been changed after a long time with a lot more white being used around the engine cover and cockpit area. Could be a blast from the past with cars in the 70s running this livery, and also white is a light color and a more cool color which might just aid in the cooling of the engine as opposed to black or scarlet. Could be that this crossed the minds of the engineers at Maranello as well, or it's just aesthetics and it looks pleasing to the eye to some, or it looks disgusting to some. But to me personally, it looks gorgeous and should stay there. Coming to the actual car, the first striking change is the nose. The nose has been shortened and resembles a thumb-like structure in the front. To the naked eye, it looks like a hybrid of the Williams nose, the McLaren, and the Ferrari's own F140's platypus nose, with the Venturis and the extended front wing pylons. All of this is to enhance the flow, the quantity, and the quality of air flowing underneath the car. The suspensions have been totally redesigned both front and rear. We'll come to the rear in a minute. But for the fronts, may the pull rods rest in peace. Ferrari has switched back to the more conventional push rod suspensions, which may be slightly hindering to the aero performance, as it is a bit more spread out, but it is easier to work upon, as in change settings during sessions quickly, and the drivers seem to understand the philosophy of the push rods better, especially Kimi Raikkonen. Though according to the engineers both systems perform the exact same functions, still Ferrari felt the need to go towards push rods as the engineers understand it better. The front wing, as expected, is the 2015 Abu Dhabi spec, so expect that to change for the upcoming test and a complete redesign for Melbourne, but this car just reeks of James Allison on first glance. The airbox has been more rounded and resembles a horseshoe, with Ferrari ditching the square triangle design finally. This is a more effective solution and should allow more air inside the intake manifold and or for other cooling purposes. It looks a bit cleaner now as well. The turning wings surrounding the side pods are of older specification as well. Expect them to change. While the nose looks to have been prepped up for an introduction of an S-duct, which has been overdue and confirms Ferrari's all-out challenge for the title in 2016. Nothing is being held back. It may be the perspective or the camera angle, but when compared to the previous car, the brake duct intakes have a smaller area. Also, the blown wheel nut duct appears to have been closed as of now. The nose camera pods remain on slender stock to best manage airflow along the sides of the chassis. New restrictions on these will come into force next year, so Ferrari better watch out for that. First of all, the wheelbase of the car has been rumored to have been made longer, but to the naked eye, to me it looks a bit, there must be a little difference between the previous year cars and this year's cars, but it appears to be the same, just about the same. It is the camera angle and the perspective just playing tricks on your eyes if it appears longer or shorter to some, but it was rumored to be longer, but to me it looks the same on analysis. And the roll-up structure has been changed completely so that airflow is more cleaner and remains more attached to the engine cover, and it gives it more direction and directs it towards the rear wing, giving the rear wing a cleaner and more effective airflow, also aiding the diffuser. There's this wing underneath the camera mounts above the airbox. It looks to be an upside down wing, just like the one you'll find on an airplane, which generates lift instead of downforce. So I'm not too sure why Ferrari adds this, but it was there present on the last year's cars as well. So one of the reasons I could think of, or like one of the two reasons I could think of, was this must direct the airflow into some cooling port or something that has not been made visible in the picture, or this must be there to move the center of pressure from one area to the other, as it generates a negative force. So it must be to manipulate that as well. The side pods have been given A more cleaner look, they look a bit changed than last year's, a more refined look due to the positioning of the various radiators and the new cooling architecture that Ferrari has employed. Okay, that looks spectacular. That gives McLaren a run for its money for the size 0 concept. It looks so slim. Ferrari has freed up so much space on the rear for the floor and the aero to work. That is tightly packed. I mean, do they even have a gearbox in there? It's just mind-blowingly small. Alright, so done with the Coke bottle area. And yeah, it probably should be because of the layout that they've changed with the engine, which we've covered in the covered on the website as well. Must be the layout change of the engine or the new gearbox concept that they've employed, but it looks tightly packed, which is a good thing for the aero people. But it gives a concern for the cooling, which I'm not sure about, so it might get a little expanded or like a bit more opened up during the preseason. But that looks well packed. The rear suspension layout has been pointed out to me, and it's quite interesting. You may notice that it's a certain Y-shaped. It's not a typical A arm. It's supposedly a Y arm. Now I have no idea why Ferrari would use kind of this geometry, but it looks like an interesting innovation, if it is at all an innovation. So we might get some more info about that later when the car gets to the track. The exhaust is a more conventional 3 exhaust layout, with one being the main exhaust and 2 side pipes being in an inverted Mickey Mouse shape. The wastegate pipes that have been added for like the 2016 season for increased sound. Pat Simmons has claimed that the sound would be increased by 12%, while some others have claimed it might increase to 20-25%, but we'll have to wait until the cars get on track to see for ourselves. You may also notice that Ferrari has retained the tire squirts on the floor area, which would aid in the flow and improve the overall flow underneath the car and throughout the diffuser. It also creates vortices that would not disrupt the flow of the diffuser when the air connects from the Coke bottle and the rear wing to the diffuser area above the car. The gearbox, as I mentioned before, is a revolutionary concept, with many rumors have been that the clutch, instead of being outside the gearbox, have been shifted inside the casing. So it's kind of a space saver, but it also poses some issues. I'm not too sure about the testing, so we might have to wait and figure out for ourselves when we see the cars on track. To sum up, Ferrari Ferrari has released a good base. It looks good on paper, it looks good in theory. It looks better than any of their previously launched cars in launch spec. So hopefully the white brings them good luck and they put on a good show and challenge Mercedes, or even like topple them off the top spot. But it looks difficult at the moment to eliminate Mercedes from the top spot or like throw them off the game. But Ferrari looks to be there. Ferrari on paper should be there or thereabouts. Aerodynamically, this car should approximately be at least 0.5 seconds faster than the previous one. So that alone is like quite an advantage to gain over like a season. On the engine front, they've made quite a few changes to the overall layout and the architecture of the engine, which might aid in their packaging and allow the systems to work in a bit more harmonious way than previous times. So overall, it looks like quite a good car, quite something to look forward to, and I think Kimi and Sebastian should be pretty happy with what they've got at their hands.